Hello and welcome. I'm a hotel AI expert specializing in modern hospitality operations, and I am pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. In our industry, one of the most powerful forces shaping our success isn't found in a marketing budget or a new building. It's found in the voice of our guests. Today, we're going to explore how to harness that power, turning everyday feedback into your greatest asset. So let's dive in. This sentence right here, it really captures a massive transformation in hospitality. Just think about it for a second. What used to be a slow-moving concept, something built over years and years through word of mouth, is now, well, it's a dynamic, real-time reflection of the guest experience. Every single stay now has the potential to influence thousands of future travelers, and it happens instantly. So how exactly did we get here? Well, the shift, as you can see, has been pretty dramatic. We've gone from an era where hotels really controlled the narrative, with glossy ads and brochures, to today, where the guest controls it almost entirely through the reviews and online ratings. The source of trust has completely moved from the institution to the individual. Okay, so this brings us to our first big idea, what we're calling the review revolution. To truly master reputation, we first have to understand the psychology behind why this digital word of mouth has become so incredibly powerful. It all boils down to one word: authenticity, or at least perceived authenticity. People instinctively trust the opinions of other travelers way more than they trust a hotel's own promotional content. I mean, it makes sense, right? A review feels like a personal, voluntary story, not some slick sales pitch. It just feels more honest and unbiased. And this has a direct emotional impact when it comes to the booking decision. When a potential guest is scrolling and reads multiple positive reviews, it just washes away their uncertainty. It builds a sense of confidence that, hey, I'll probably have a good experience too. But on the flip side, even one or two negative comments can create immediate doubt and hesitation. It introduces risk. So, while the impact of all this is felt online, what's really fascinating is that effective reputation management doesn't actually start on the internet. Not at all. It begins long before a single word is typed into a review site. It starts with the foundation, the guest experience itself. So here's the crucial point, this chain of events. A strong online reputation is simply the natural outcome of doing the fundamentals right. It always begins with operational excellence. That, in turn, is what creates those memorable experiences, and those experiences are what finally lead guests to feel inspired to go online and write those authentic, positive reviews. And this quote just summarizes the whole principle perfectly. Technology is nothing more than a megaphone. It amplifies the voice of your guests, but it doesn't create the story they're going to tell. That story is created every single day by your team, at the front desk, in housekeeping, in every single guest interaction. All right, now that we've got the foundation down, let's talk about the digital side of things. Because once a guest posts that review, your work isn't over, not by a long shot. Now it's time to engage thoughtfully. This is what we call the art of responding. This is the big question, isn't it? It's a question that every hotel manager on the planet faces daily. The answer, of course, really depends on what the review says, but the principles of professional, effective engagement, those are universal. Okay. When you get that glowing, positive feedback, it is not enough to just write a generic "thank you." You've got to express sincere gratitude. Really personalize the response by mentioning specific details they enjoyed. This shows you're actually listening, and it helps reinforce the very strengths they just highlighted for you. Now, negative reviews. These require even more care. The goal here is to turn a bad situation into a public display of your professionalism. You need to acknowledge their experience, express sincere regret, and show real empathy. But crucially, you have to explain what steps you're taking to fix the problem. That demonstrates accountability. And this right here is where the stakes are highest, because your tone is everything. You have to remember, you're not just replying to one guest. No way. You are speaking to every single future guest who reads that exchange. A calm, accountable response builds trust. But a defensive, argumentative, or generic reply, that can do so much more damage than the original review itself. But responding is really only half the battle. True mastery of reputation management goes way beyond public relations. It's about treating all that guest feedback as one of the most valuable sources of business intelligence you have. It's about seeing feedback as a catalyst for real, meaningful improvement. This table shows that continuous improvement loop in action. Guest feedback gives you direct operational insight.
Praise for the front desk, that highlights a strength you need to reinforce and recognize. A complaint about slow service, that reveals a potential weakness to be analyzed and fixed. Every single review is a valuable data point. The key takeaway here is that reviews often give you more authentic insight than a traditional survey ever could. Why? Because they're spontaneous, and they often describe the emotional parts of a stay, how a guest actually felt. This is basically free, invaluable customer research that can guide real, targeted change in your operations. And all of this hard work, it translates directly into a powerful competitive edge. Let's be honest, in a crowded market, a hotel with a higher rating just has higher guest confidence. And that leads directly to a higher likelihood of someone clicking that Book Now button. It is often the single most important factor that sets you apart. Ultimately, this is why this stuff matters so much from a business and strategy perspective. Mastering your reputation isn't just about being seen as a good hotel. It drives tangible, bottom-line business outcomes. We're talking higher occupancy, the ability to command better rates, and the kind of guest loyalty that builds real, long-term success. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Reputation management isn't some task you do at the end of the day when you're checking emails. It's the sum of every single interaction, every perfectly clean room, and every welcoming smile. It begins right now with the very next guest who walks through your doors.